Thomas, Unicorn of War here. Hi, greetings, salutations. I'm very awkward off script, Jesus. So, as the title of this implies, this is not going to be the full Season 6 rewrite. I know, I'm sorry, it's just... This production is taking a long time. I'm a one-man band, fam. I have actually considered making a video on what the whole process has been like, not only just the writing, but also the modeling, the set design, the rigging, the posing, all that stuff. If you guys think that would be fun, let me know in the comments. But I figured since the wait is so long, I might as well give you guys a little bit of a teaser of what to expect. So this is going to be the first episode of the Season 6 rewrite, with my narration along with my beautiful little models giving you visuals. Oh, that sounds odd. As a heads up, everything is subject to change, of course, because I'm me. Some of the visuals might be further polished upon final release, probably early 2023. Some of the story might change in any additional drafting or editing that I might do. But yeah, please enjoy the first episode of my rewrite of Winx Club Season 6. Here we go. Episode 1. Woes of an Alfea Alumna. Our story begins in the Forest of Flowers, where a young Bloom and Selena chase flower-shaped wisps floating through the trees. Selena says they should race to see who can catch them, only for Bloom to race ahead. Selena, trying to catch up, trips, and Bloom immediately comes back to help her up. They come across a field of Lanusias, only to lose the wisps, upset given they believed they were going to lead them to the supposed fairy godmother who lives out here. Seeing how upset Bloom is, Selena suggests that they take a break and stargaze. As they lie down, we transition to a few years later with Bloom and Selena as preteens. Bloom feels like she shouldn't be out so late given her parents are probably worried about her, but Selena reassures Bloom that they can handle themselves. After all, what could ever happen to them so long as they have each other? Bloom just wishes magic was real, like they thought when they were little, so that she could become a fairy and get away from Mitzi and the other kids at school who've always picked on them. Selena says she'd much rather be a witch and use her magic to make Mitzi's life a living nightmare, which Bloom can't help but chuckle at. So long as it's to teach Mitzi a lesson. While Bloom looks at the stars and comments on their beauty, Selena looks to Bloom, agreeing, then sighs and looks to the moon. Selena says if magic ever turns out to be real, they should learn it together and go on adventures as a fairy and witch duo. Bloom agrees, and the two make a promise to always be together. We then cut to the present, where Selena, hiding out in the woods by Alfea, plots her scheme. She's been waiting for the right moment to strike. She says it won't be long now and tells Bloom she's looking forward to their reunion. As Selena looks down upon Alfea, and we get a close-up of the legendarium on her belt, we then crossfade to Bloom looking up out the window from one of the classrooms, and she gets an odd chill. As Professor Whizgiz calls out to his ever-distracted teaching assistant, Bloom apologizes. Whizgiz then explains that as part of the new school year, they're going over the basics of metamorphosis. Roxy raises her hand, and Whizgiz rolls his eyes, saying, "Yes, Roxy, even the second years." First on the list is the classic Pumpkinhead lesson. Whizgiz reminds the young fairies that metamorphosis requires intense focus and mental clarity. You must understand what you're trying to transform into, as well as yourself if you want to transform back without any hiccups. Bloom goes first to set the example. All the students pull this off and change back, but when Bloom tries to change back, she can't. She's incredibly embarrassed, and most of the students laugh while Roxy is visibly concerned. Whizgiz assures everyone that this happens to even the best of us sometimes. He uses his old rat technique to scare the living daylights out of Bloom, turning her back to normal, but also sending her falling. He then promises his rat grandfather that they'll one day find a cure for his transformation, to which the rat says, "Thanks, Wizzy." After class, Roxy tries to talk to Bloom. To lighten the mood, Roxy jokes about how she definitely could have used some metamorphosis tricks against Doomon way back when. But even as Roxy jokes, Bloom just seems out of it and asks to be left alone. Hesitantly, Roxy abides. Bloom heads back to her room in the professor's wing, admitting it's not as cozy as the old Winx dorm, especially without any of them here, but at least Kiko is there to greet her. Bloom scrolls through her phone, getting glimpses of what the other Winx have been up to on their social media. At this point, it's been several months since the end of Season 5, and Bloom hasn't seen any of the other Winx the whole summer. Sky, meanwhile, seems to be completely off social media, which Bloom assumes is his way to focus on important kingly duties on Heraklion. And as for Stella, she did visit Bloom and Gardenia over the summer. As she looks at Stella's picture with Brandon, she can't help but blush and quickly turn off her phone. Kiko tries to cheer Bloom up, and Bloom takes that as a prompt to try and start drawing again and take her mind off things. Only problem? The creative block is strong. Every time she tries to put pencil to paper, she stops, thinks over what she's about to do, and then gives up. Repeat this cycle several times. Bloom thinks about how she wants to proceed and picks up her pencil again. This time she draws figures in the distance looking away. Bloom draws herself reaching out for them. After a long while, Faragonda pays a visit and asks if Bloom would like to join her for a walk. As they stroll back to Faragonda's office, Faragonda asks about her drawing. Bloom admits that without the other Winx, she's been lonely. Ever since Sky lost his memory, she's had this deep fear of it happening with everyone else in her life. Faragonda nods, saying that sometimes life pulls people you love into different directions, and it's beyond anyone's control. That doesn't mean that they'll never see each other again, but it does mean that accepting these changes when they happen will help you move more gracefully and grieve to move forward. Trying to hold on to something can keep you from growing and damage what you once loved. Faragonda then guides Bloom into the Hall of Enchantments, the most sacred and important place of Alfea where many magical secrets are kept, including a rather ominous statue of Alfea's creator, Clariel. Faragonda then guides Bloom into a special chamber. A massive magical heart spins within a small garden filled with butterflies of light. This is the heart of Alfea, the source of the school's magical energy, much like Cloud Tower's heart. Faragonda asserts that all magic comes from the heart of living things, and Alfea is no different. You must always stay in touch with yourself and your true feelings in order for your magic to remain strong. That even applies to the Fairy of the Dragon Flame. Bloom relates this to what Maya told her back on Pyros about how all magical beings have a unique essence. In any case, a holiday is coming up called the Sparks Festival, a celebration held every 100 years marking the great dragon's creation of the universe. As such, Faragonda feels Bloom, as the Dragonflame's wielder, has earned some much-needed time off. When Bloom is hesitant, Faragonda says that in times like this, where the path ahead is dark and winding, it's best to go back to your roots to heal and find yourself again, then chart a new path. Bloom can't help but take this as a bruise to her ego, given she knows she hasn't exactly been stellar in her role at Alfea, but agrees to Faragonda's wishes. After all, what other choice is there? We then cut to Magic City, where Bloom is about to use the teleporter to return to Gardenia, and Roxy is seeing her off. Bloom's a bit embarrassed about inconveniencing her parents, but Roxy assures her they won't mind getting to spend some more time with her. Bloom mentions missing the Winx, which admittedly hurts Roxy a bit, but she hides it as Bloom and Kiko head off. As Roxy heads back to Alfea, however, she notices a hooded figure watching from a distance, who quickly disappears once their eyes meet. Stella, meanwhile, has been cooped up in the Solarian Royal Palace, using the Hall of the Universe and all the books she can get her hands on to learn more about Solaria's history. When Brandon finds her, Stella is visibly exhausted and kinda losing it. However, she mentions how she can't find anything on Solaria before they destroyed Selenia, the neighboring kingdom of the moon that they learned about during the Cyrenix quest. All she can find are records of how then Queen Thea of Solaria unified, quote-unquote, the world with a group of paladins. Brandon tries to help Stella relax, saying that however she wants to learn about her heritage, he will help. but he also wants her to take care of herself and let him know she's okay. Stella apologizes, then asks how Sky has been doing. Brandon is a bit hesitant to answer, but insists he's doing fine. Brandon asks about Bloom, to which Stella, hiding her blush, says she hasn't really been in touch with Bloom for a while, or any of the Winx for that matter, making no mention of the summer visit. Brandon is about to ask something else, but stops himself, saying Stella will know where to find him if she needs anything. On Alfea, meanwhile, Flora works as an instructor at the Marigold Institute of Natural Magic, leading a class of students in creating potions for magical fungi. Her sister Miele excels in this, given she's become the fairy of fungus. After class, Miele mentions how resistant their mother was in letting her come here. Flora says it was the same for her, and she's still shocked she let her go to Alfea after Marigold. Miele mentions how her mother is still asking about why Flora hasn't visited, and whether Flora is dating anyone, which clearly has Flora exhausted. Over on Melody, Musa is at the Golden Auditorium, strumming sad chords and putting together sappy lyrics. Probably Heart of Stone, let's be real. Galatea checks in on her, though Musa tries to lighten the mood by making a joke about how she should have seen this coming. Still, she's taken aback given how much progress she and Riven had made since returning to the magical universe. Riven just said the usual, "I need to find myself for a while, and it's not you, it's me," which does in fact mean it's you. At the very least, churning out a debut breakup album shouldn't be too difficult now. When Galatea asks, Musa clarifies that he just asked that they take a break, but that was 2 months ago, and it's been radio silence since. To her, the message is loud and clear. On Zenith, Tecna is reeling after attending a royal meeting with her parents and King Cryos. She's been trying to follow in her parents' footsteps as royal advisors to get closer to them, though it's clear it's both stressful and uninteresting to her. After the meeting in her parents' lab, she checks her phone to see missed calls from Timmy. Her parents take note, looking over her shoulder and commenting that their day is far from over, and Tecna shouldn't let something as irrational as love distract her from important matters. Tecna goes along with it, but it's clear she's absolutely reaching her limit. On Andros, Aisha greets Naboo as he wakes up with breakfast, consisting of overcooked scrambled wallaby eggs and burned toasts. Aisha admits she's not the best cook, and Naboo clearly doesn't like it all that much, but he's quick to scarf it down to try and make Aisha happy. Aisha goes over their plan for the day, including her taking him to his physio-magic therapy session with Tabak the Wise. But Naboo, seeing how tired Aisha is, tells her that she doesn't have to. His parents have it covered. Though he has been staying with Aisha, he can always head home when he needs to and rely on his parents, giving Aisha a chance to have a break. He encourages Aisha to go have fun, and they can go for dinner together later that night. Reluctantly, Aisha leaves, where she's met by Roy. Roy says that Naboo has a good point, to which Aisha responds, "I don't think I asked you." She apologizes for snapping, but Roy doesn't mind. Aisha says she's been meaning to catch up with her cousins Nereus and Tressa anyway. Roy nods, saying that he'll handle getting Naboo safely back to his parents' place. When Aisha asks about him tagging along with her, since Roy is prone to acting like her shadow to protect her on her father's orders, Roy says that he's trying to get better at recognizing when he's hurting more than he's helping. We then cut to Earth, where Bloom is working at Love and Pet again, this time in Stella's old grooming department with Morgana as her boss. It does help lift her spirits a bit, but she's still not feeling too great about herself. Her old aura reading ability returns, something she hasn't been able to do in years, for reasons that she's never fully understood. And of course, it's when customers unhappy with Bloom's perpetual mental fog try to mask their disappointment, letting their auras do even further harm to Bloom's ego. After her shift, one of Bloom's co-workers, a girl named Macy, asks if she wants to join her for drinks at the Fruity Music Bar. Bloom is hesitant, but she decides she has nothing better to do and obliges. There, they bond over horror stories of irate customers and some of Morgana's odd mannerisms, since while she's a lovely woman, she's also a tad tyrannical as the shop's new owner. Then again, what do you expect from the former Queen of Fairies? The fun is interrupted by none other than Mitzi, who's surprised to see her old friend desperate enough for company that she'd stoop to her kid sister. Bloom is certainly surprised, given she'd never even known Mitzi had a sister. But then again, it's Mitzi. Who wants to know anything about her beyond what they have to? Especially when she's trying to pitch her latest new business, in selling hideous-looking leggings that look like they come from the depths of hell, and talking about becoming a boss babe. Macy admits she's heard a lot about Bloom and, in a way, always looked up to her. In fact, Macy reveals that she's been noticing something about herself changing. Magic is starting to show itself around her, and she was hoping that maybe Bloom would know what to do. Before Bloom can respond, she gets that same feeling of being watched, then spots a mysterious figure, their face obscured by a hood, staring from afar. Bloom gives chase, only for the girl to display dark magic to ward Bloom off. Bloom corners the girl and gets down her hood, revealing brown eyes and long green hair. Bloom is confused at first, but feels splitting pain in her head as she flashes back to her younger years, getting glimpses of herself with the girl in the forest. Bloom mutters, "Selena?" Selena takes the opportunity to get some distance. She summons a strange book she calls the Legendarium. In reading aloud, she gives rise to monsters called Fire Eaters. They cover her escape as Bloom transforms into Enchantix. Unfortunately, these beasts only seem to be strengthened by the dragon flame. Even her fairy dust isn't working. Frustrated, Bloom uses Supernova, only to accidentally set the bar aflame as the Fire Eaters continue wreaking havoc. Thankfully, Morgana, along with Mike and his firefighting crew, arrive to help mitigate the damage and evacuate the bar. Still, Bloom finds herself unable to stop the Fire Eaters, though Morgana's illusions do help push them back a bit. Macy suggests that instead of fighting fire with fire, they instead fight it with water. Though Bloom does joke about wishing she still had Sirenix, she and Morgana work to push the Fire Eaters onto the beach. However, such a simple approach doesn't seem to work, as even the ocean is unable to douse the monster's flame. Bloom chastises herself, tearing up and blaming herself for being unable to stop the monster's rampage. Macy picks up on the Fire Eaters growing stronger as Bloom gets more upset at herself. Morgana holds the Fire Eaters off while telling Bloom and Macy to figure out how to stop these things, and Macy insists that Bloom must face whatever is upsetting her. Unfortunately, knowing logically that this is the answer doesn't make Bloom struggle any easier. Stronger than ever before, the Fire Eaters prepare to fully absorb Bloom's power and negativity. Mike rushes to protect her, and it's when her father is in danger that Bloom's love for him overpowers her feelings of guilt. She drags herself out of her self-pity and fights back. Using her Firecatcher spell, she manages to dissolve the Fire Eaters into literal flames, which she absorbs, though she's clearly winded and transforms back into civilian form. With the day saved, Bloom struggles to remember how she knows the green-haired girl, and even finds her name slipping from her memory. She repeats the name over and over. Selena. Selena. As Macy asks if she's okay, Bloom insists that she's fine and encourages Macy to attend Alfea. Morgana mentions that Nebula is also working with the major fairies to set up a magic school here on Earth, but for the time being, Macy could go to Alfea and decide to transfer if she'd like. Macy's not sure about leaving home, but Bloom insists that she already has plenty of new friends waiting there. She's going to write a letter of recommendation to Farragonda on Macy's behalf, and she also tells Macy that when she gets there, to look for a girl named Roxy and say that Bloom sent her. We then cut to a few days later where Macy arrives at Alfea with Bloom's letter, right in time for us to see the rest of the Winx chilling in the quad and catching up on what they've been up to. Of course, glossing over all the problems they've each been having and sharing only their highlight reels. Stella specifically is relieved when Bloom isn't present, but tries to hide that from the others. Farragonda and Roxy greet the Winx, and after a quick hug, Farragonda thanks the Winx for taking time out of their schedules for the upcoming Sparks Festival. The girls ask where Bloom is, and Farragonda assures that she has something else in mind for Bloom right now. Macy is a bit nervous about approaching Farragonda. Another student, whose face we don't see yet, asks if she's got the first day jitters too. She assures Macy that they've got nothing to worry about. She then asks about the letter, and when Macy mentions it's for Farragonda, the girl brazenly yells out for the headmistress, which visibly annoys Griselda. Macy quickly explains it's from Bloom. When Farragonda reads it over, she welcomes Macy to Alfea. She then turns to the other girl and asks for her name, and as she says it, we finally see her face. Selena. Whew, God, recording that took longer than expected. Anyway, there you go, the first episode of the Season 6 Rewrite, which will be coming out in early 2023, and now I can't give a date beyond that because, oh my god. If you enjoyed this, then be sure to let me know in the comments, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, possibly pledge on Patreon if you would like, which, further enables me to continue doing what I do. If you enjoyed my storytelling, then if you want to see more of that from me, you can check out my book, Diseneribus from the Ashes, which is a new adult urban fantasy novel. It's less magical girl than Winx, but it is very, very gay and very angsty, so y'all might like that. Do I have anything else to say? No. Okay, alright. It's been a shit show, y'all.